In the deep reaches of the Galactic Empire, the observation ring of the central sector was alive with activity. Every station, every sensor, every monitor was focused on the usual traffic: traders, messengers, and military escorts moving through controlled space. Yet, today was not like the other days. A new blip appeared on the sensors, moving faster than anything the Empire had ever recorded. Officers stared at the screen in disbelief. This vessel was not in any records. Its design did not match known ships. Its energy readings were minimal, almost as if it wanted to be invisible. Yet, it moved with astonishing speed, slicing through the emptiness of space with purpose. Admiral Geo, a man known for his calm and reason, was summoned immediately. He stood tall, examining the reports. The officers, young and old, tried to give him their analysis, but no one could explain what they were seeing. Lieutenant Yuna, the lead sensor officer, spoke first. "Sir, this vessel is not on any registry. Its speed exceeds our fastest craft by 100 times. Attempts to scan it fail. It ignores standard probes and avoids our detection fields." Jiho took a deep breath. He had faced many crises before, but the thought of a ship moving through the Empire without permission or recognition sent a chill down his spine. "Show me the trajectory," he said. The display revealed a path that weaved through several high-security sectors. Yet the ship did not alter its speed or direction. It was deliberate, calculated, an entirely untraceable dot. As the news spread, tension began to rise in the command hall. Analysts debated feverishly. Some insisted it must be a malfunction of the sensors. Others feared it was an ancient warship, lost to time and suddenly returned. The whisper of an unknown race entered the minds of many officers. A fear unlike any other had begun to grow. The Empire was built on control, on knowing every vessel in its space, and now something completely foreign was moving freely. The Empire's fastest fleets were mobilized. Ships equipped with the latest engines and weapons scrambled to intercept. Jiho watched as the vessels tried to catch up, only to see the unknown ship remain distant. It was a game of patience versus precision. The faster Imperial ships burned energy and fuel, but the mysterious vessel moved effortlessly, ignoring the chase. Captain Hana, one of the fleet commanders, watched the readings carefully. She realized that the ship's path seemed almost casual, yet perfectly measured. It did not rush or falter. It was untouchable dot in the observation hall. A map of the sectors showed red dots marking the positions of Imperial forces. The unknown vessel's icon remained a solitary blue streak, moving across the map like a ghost. Communication attempts were made, but all signals bounced back with errors. The Empire tried coded messages, distress signals, even visual flares. Nothing worked. The vessel did not respond. It was as if it existed on a different plane of operation, beyond the understanding of the Empire's most advanced technology. Admiral Jiho called for a council. Strategists, scientists, and diplomats gathered to discuss what should be done. The room buzzed with speculation. Some argued for an immediate strike. Others, including Jiho, argued for caution. He knew the Empire's history. They had never faced an enemy that could not be catalogued or anticipated. This was different. This was unknown. "We cannot assume hostility," Jiho said. "But we cannot ignore the possibility either. We must understand it before we act." Lieutenant Yuna continued her analysis, her fingers dancing across her console. "Sir, I have isolated fragments of energy pulses from the vessel. They are unlike any known system. Minimal emissions, but very efficient. The ship seems to use some form of propulsion we have never seen. We cannot follow its movements closely without risking detection or failure." Captain Hana leaned forward. "It avoids our fleets on purpose. Every time a squadron approaches, It changes direction slightly, but it's subtle, almost polite. It's like it is testing us, not attacking. Jiho nodded. Then we watch, and we wait. Do not provoke it, but do not lose track either. Our sensors are our eyes. Keep them trained. If it turns aggressive, we must be ready. Meanwhile, in the wider empire, news of the unknown vessel began to leak. Traders whispered in spaceports. Minor colonies reported seeing an unidentified streak in their skies. Citizens speculated about aliens, rebels, or ancient war machines. Panic began to rise quietly, like a shadow. No one knew what the ship wanted, or where it would go next. The empire that had once ruled the stars with certainty now felt the sharp edge of uncertainty dot in one corner of the observation ring. A young analyst named Minsiak whispered to his colleague, "Do you think it's human?" His friend laughed nervously. "Human? Impossible. They have been gone from these sectors for centuries. Why would a human ship appear now, and like this?" Minsiak didn't answer. He felt a strange intuition, a prickling at the back of his neck. There was something about the speed, the silence, and the subtlety that reminded him of old records he had read as a child. Humans were underestimated, often ignored. Could it be that simple creatures had found a way to become untouchable? As hours turned into a full cycle, the unknown vessel moved deeper into the empire. It passed worlds and stations without slowing. It avoided engagement, yet left a clear message. Nothing in the empire was hidden from it, and nothing could stop it easily. The fleets remained in pursuit, but they were always just behind, watching a blur disappear into the distance. Admiral Jiho finally retired to his private quarters, exhausted but alert. He stared at the stars on the viewport, imagining the ship moving silently, unchallenged, and unafraid. He realized that the Empire was facing not just a ship, but a new reality. Something fast, something disciplined, and something entirely unknown was in their space. And for the first time in centuries, the Empire did not know the next move. Lieutenant Yuna continued her work, analyzing every fragment of data. Captain Hana coordinated fleet movements with careful precision. They knew that they were witnesses to something unprecedented. The unknown ship had not attacked, yet it had demonstrated power beyond reckoning. In silence, fear mixed with awe. The Empire had faced enemies before, but never like this. The rules had changed. As the cycle ended, the ship disappeared from immediate sensor range. It was not gone. It was simply out of reach, moving with impossible speed and purpose. In the observation ring, officers and strategists stared at empty screens. The vessel had left its mark, and the Empire was left with questions they could not answer. Admiral Jiho turned to his team. "We will find it. We must. But remember, this is not just a ship. This is a lesson. The universe is larger and stranger than we believed. Prepare all fleets, strengthen all sensors, and never underestimate the unknown. Record everything. Learn everything. And most importantly, respect what we do not yet understand." The officers nodded, but in their hearts, a new fear had settled. The Empire was powerful, but the unknown vessel had shown that power was not absolute. Somewhere out there, moving through the darkness, was something that could not be stopped, not by fleets, not by technology, and not by arrogance. The first contact had been made. The Empire would never be the same again. The Empire was still reeling from the sight of the unknown vessel. Every fleet, station, and command center was on high alert. Admiral Jiho and his team worked tirelessly to understand what they were dealing with. While the first encounter had ended without violence, the impact of that silent, fast-moving ship lingered in everyone's mind. No one could explain how it moved or why it remained undetected. Rumors ran wild among officers and civilians alike, But truth was scarce. Captain Hana spent hours analyzing the movement patterns of the ship. She compared them with all known classes of vessels. Nothing matched. Its path was precise, but not predictable. It sometimes appeared close to colonies, then veered away, never giving a hint of its purpose. Hana noted that the vessel seemed to test the Empire's response without ever committing to aggression. This behavior was unlike any enemy they had encountered. Traditional tactics would not work. Every fleet they sent was either too slow or misdirected. The faster the Empire moved, the more the ship seemed untouchable. Lieutenant Yuna worked in the sensor hall, scrutinizing fragments of data captured during the vessel's passage. She noticed unusual energy patterns, minimal emissions, almost invisible, yet consistent. It was as if the ship had perfected the art of moving unseen. When she tried to match the energy signatures with known propulsion methods, nothing fit. The ship did not use hyperdrives or warp engines in the way the Empire understood. The realization struck her that this ship was built with knowledge and skill far beyond what they expected. She felt a shiver of awe and fear at the same time. As debates raged, the Empire's scientists proposed theories. Some believed it was an ancient weapon from forgotten centuries. Others suggested it could be a new alien race that had learned to survive in isolation. One scientist, Jin Wu, spoke quietly to a group of officers. "We have been so focused on power, on domination, that we forgot to consider survival and adaptability. Perhaps this ship is human." The words caused a stir. Some laughed, dismissing the idea. Humans were thought weak, simple, and primitive. Yet the more they analyzed the ship's precision, speed, and lack of aggression, the more plausible the idea became. Min Seok, the young analyst from the observation hall, spoke up. "If it is human, then they have been learning, improving while we ignored them. That would explain why we cannot follow or stop them." Admiral Jiho remained calm but concerned. "Whether human or not, the ship has entered our space and proven our fleets insufficient. We must continue monitoring and understanding. This is not just a threat, it is a lesson." He ordered all sectors to increase sensor coverage and maintain constant vigilance. Every fleet was instructed to be ready, but not to engage unless absolutely necessary. The ship was fast, intelligent, and elusive. A direct confrontation could be disastrous. Across the Empire, the unknown vessel continued its journey. It moved past heavily defended planets, yet left no trace of harm. On a trading colony, workers looked up to see a bright streak across the sky. Many whispered in fear, assuming it was a signal of an impending attack. Messages from other colonies reported the same phenomenon. The Empire tried to calm the population, but the sense of unease was spreading. People realized that power and control were not guaranteed. Something new, fast, and unknown was among them, and it was beyond their reach. Captain Hana called a private meeting with Admiral Jiho and Lieutenant Yuna. "We have patterns, but no answers," she said. "The ship avoids our forces, yet it seems aware of us. It is not random. Every movement is calculated. Whoever is in that vessel knows what they are doing." Jiho nodded. "We must assume intelligence, not just technology. This is more than a machine. It is a mind that we cannot yet comprehend. Our goal is observation, not engagement. Learn what we can and prepare for what we cannot predict." Meanwhile, the Empire attempted diplomatic measures. Messages were sent using every known method, offering peaceful contact. The unknown ship did not respond. Signals returned as silence. Analysts speculated that the vessel could detect attempts to communicate and simply choose not to reply. It was a silent power, a demonstration that strength did not need aggression. In the observation hall, Min Seok continued to study historical records. He found fragments of old human missions, long thought lost or extinct. Stories of small human crews surviving impossible conditions. outlasting superior enemies, and learning quickly flashed in his mind. The pieces began to fit. Perhaps the humans had built this vessel quietly, in secret, perfecting it while the galaxy forgot them. Perhaps the Empire had never really understood the species it had ignored for centuries. The fleet commanders struggled with their orders. How do you protect the Empire from a ship that cannot be chased, cannot be scanned, and does not communicate? They relied on Captain Hana's calculations and Lieutenant Yuna's sensor analysis. Each day brought new data, but also new frustrations. The unknown ship moved closer to major strategic points, yet never attacked. It was testing, watching, moving with quiet confidence. Imperial officers realized that speed and stealth could be as powerful as weapons, if not more so. A council was called with the Empire's top strategists. Jinwu, the scientist, spoke again. We are witnessing an entirely new approach to survival and influence. The ship's power is in its discipline, its intelligence, and its ability to move unnoticed. If this is human, they have learned to be effective without confrontation. The council debated. Some wanted to develop faster fleets and better weapons immediately. Others, including Jiho, argued for caution and understanding. We cannot fight what we do not understand, Jiho said. Every move we make should be measured. We need to learn, observe, and prepare. The unknown ship passed near a heavily populated planet, the sensors showing its presence, but no disturbance in local communications or power grids. Lieutenant Yuna studied the readings and noted the absence of aggressive behavior. It could destroy this planet without effort, she said quietly. Yet it chooses not to. That is deliberate. Captain Hana added, it is a lesson in restraint. It is showing us that power does not always need to assert itself violently. This is a species or a mind that has mastered its abilities quietly. The Empire realized that the encounter with the unknown vessel was reshaping their understanding of power. Humans, once considered weak, were proving that intelligence, discipline, and quiet capability could surpass even the largest fleets and most advanced technology. The realization was unsettling, yet awe-inspiring. As the vessel moved further into Imperial space, Admiral Jiho issued new orders. Observation would continue, fleets would maintain readiness, and scientists would study every fragment of data. The Empire understood that this was not an attack, it was a test of awareness, a challenge to perception and strategy. The unknown vessel was rewriting the rules of engagement before any shot was fired. Min Seok, observing quietly, felt a strange mixture of fear and admiration. He whispered to himself, if this is human, then we have underestimated them for centuries. He knew he was witnessing history, a moment where the galaxy was learning the true meaning of human ingenuity and patience. The Empire was powerful, but now it was clear that speed, subtlety, and intelligence could render that power incomplete. As the day ended, the unknown vessel remained a distant streak on the sensors, moving silently, carefully, and without warning. The Empire could only watch and wait. Every officer, every scientist, every fleet commander knew that the rules had changed. The humans had arrived not with violence, but with skill and precision beyond comprehension. And the Empire, for the first time, felt the true weight of the unknown. The unknown vessel continued its silent passage through Imperial space, moving faster than any fleet could pursue. Fleet commanders grew frustrated. Every attempt to close the distance failed. Each new report brought the same words: undetectable, untraceable, and untouchable. Captain Hana reviewed the data over and over, searching for a pattern. Every slight course change, every pulse of energy seemed deliberate. It was as if the ship was alive, aware of their movements, yet refusing to strike. Lieutenant Yuna isolated fragments of the vessel's signal, analyzing the energy emissions. They were unlike anything the Empire had recorded. Minimal, efficient, almost non-existent. Yet these tiny pulses suggested a life form within, a crew managing the vessel with precision. Yuna realized that the ship's speed and stealth were not only technology, they were discipline. Someone inside understood space and survival better than any fleet commander. The thought sent shivers down her spine. Admiral Jiho convened a strategic meeting. Scientists, tacticians, and fleet officers crowded into the conference room, each anxious to present new findings. Jin Wu, the lead scientist, began. Our analysis suggests this vessel could be human. The patterns, the energy management, and the behavior match historical records of human ingenuity and stealth. They were underestimated, but it appears they have perfected survival and speed in isolation. The room grew quiet. Humans were long thought weak and primitive, dismissed centuries ago as incapable of advanced operations. Now, the Empire faced the possibility that they had ignored a species that had quietly become a formidable power. The implications were terrifying. Fleet officers whispered among themselves, recalling old texts that described humans as survivors against impossible odds. Could it be that these humans had built a ship beyond their imagination? Captain Hannah spoke up. If it is human, then they are testing us, not attacking. Their movement is deliberate, controlled. Every fleet we send is anticipated and avoided. This is not luck. This is skill. Jiho nodded. Observation continues. We cannot engage directly. We cannot risk provoking a species that has proven capable of moving unseen. Our goal is understanding, not confrontation. Meanwhile, the unknown ship moved past critical sectors, passing close to colonies but never disturbing them. Citizens reported strange streaks of light across the sky, causing fear and wonder. Traders whispered about a ghost ship, while scholars speculated on ancient technology or unknown alien races. The Empire tried to calm the population, but unease spread quietly like a shadow. People began to understand that control was fragile, and even the most powerful fleets could be rendered powerless by intelligence and speed. Lieutenant Yuna continued her analysis, focusing on the energy fragments left behind. Sir, I've isolated signals suggesting life signs inside the vessel. They do not match any species we know, but they are intelligent, calculating, and fully aware. The vessel is a living extension of its crew, designed to move and operate with efficiency beyond anything in our records. Admiral Jiho frowned. This confirms that we are facing not only technology, but intellect. The human crew has mastered their craft in a way we did not anticipate. We must consider them as more than a ship. This is a demonstration of human ingenuity. Captain Hana leaned forward. We can study their patterns, but we cannot predict them entirely. They anticipate, adapt, and evade. They do not act out of fear or aggression. They act out of understanding. This is a species that has survived by being smarter, faster, and quieter than those around them. Across the Empire, the unknown vessel continued to move with a silent elegance. It passed through space as though it belonged there, yet no Empire systems could claim knowledge or control over it. Each encounter with Imperial fleets ended the same way. The vessel moved faster, avoided detection, and left the Empire questioning their assumptions. This was a species that refused to be catalogued or underestimated. In the observation hall, Minseok studied old human records. He found accounts of small crews overcoming vast obstacles, surviving hostile environments, and outlasting more powerful enemies. These stories seemed irrelevant in the past, but now they resonated with the behavior of the vessel. Could it be that humanity had quietly perfected techniques that allowed them to move beyond the reach of even the most advanced fleets? The thought both fascinated and terrified him as the ship approached a sector with a dense cluster of colonies. Fleets were ordered to maintain formation and track its path. Captain Hana analyzed the movement. The ship's route seemed deliberate, almost testing the Empire's readiness. It approached closely, but never caused alarm or damage. Its presence alone was a warning, a reminder that power could exist without confrontation. Every fleet, every officer, and every civilian realized that the rules had changed. Intelligence and skill had outpaced technology. Lieutenant Yuna continued to track fragments of the ship's signal. "Sir, the energy patterns suggest the crew is human. Their method of travel, the efficiency, the awareness, it all points to a species underestimated for centuries. They have survived, adapted, and perfected their craft without recognition. This is not just a vessel. This is human ingenuity in motion." Admiral Jiho nodded solemnly. "We have seen the beginning of something we cannot control, only observe. Humans, if they are the crew, have mastered space in a way that surpasses our fleets and technology. Our approach must be measured, cautious, and respectful. Any misstep could be catastrophic." As the unknown ship moved farther into Imperial space, its presence continued to unsettle officers and citizens alike. Every new report emphasized the same qualities: speed, discipline, intelligence, and restraint. It became clear that humans were not just another species. They were a demonstration of what could be achieved through careful observation, learning, and adaptation. The Empire realized that true power was not always declared, not always visible, and not always aggressive. Captain Hana and Lieutenant Yuna prepared detailed reports for Admiral Gio. They included every observation, every energy signature, and every historical correlation suggesting human involvement. The Admiral reviewed them quietly, understanding that these reports would shape the Empire's future strategy. Humans were no longer weak or irrelevant. They were a force to be respected and understood. Fleet officers trained their crews to anticipate unpredictability. Scientists recalibrated sensors to detect subtle energy patterns. Diplomats prepared contingency plans for peaceful contact in case the unknown vessel ever chose to communicate. The Empire adapted to the presence of this silent, fast-moving ship, realizing that observation and patience were now as crucial as firepower. As the cycle ended, the unknown vessel remained elusive, moving with quiet precision through the stars. Every officer, strategist, and scientist understood that the Empire had been challenged not by destruction, but by mastery. The humans, hidden and underestimated for centuries, had arrived to show that speed, intelligence, and discipline could surpass even the most advanced technology. And the Empire, though powerful, was left with a new understanding of vulnerability, respect, and the hidden strength of an ancient, quiet species. Admiral Jiho watched the readings carefully as the unknown vessel moved closer to major Imperial sectors. The fleet remained on alert, but engagement was still prohibited. No one knew exactly what the vessel wanted, or how it might respond to an attack. Captain Hana monitored the movements, noting subtle changes in course and speed. Each adjustment seemed deliberate, almost like the ship was aware of every fleet maneuver and tested them quietly. This was no mindless machine. It was a calculation in motion. Lieutenant Yuna continued to analyze the faint energy pulses from the ship. They were minimal, almost invisible, yet consistent. Through careful study, she realized the ship's movement relied not only on advanced propulsion, but also on precise human-like decisions. The crew inside must have mastered both technology and strategy. Yuna felt awe and fear. Humanity, thought extinct in these sectors, had returned in a way that outpaced even the Empire's most advanced fleets. Admiral Jiho called for a controlled contact attempt. All communication channels were opened, sending a calm, structured greeting toward the vessel. Silence answered at first, but then a response appeared. The voice was calm, firm, and polite. It introduced itself as the human commander of the vessel and explained that they were not seeking conflict, only to travel through space. The crew had no intention to invade or attack. The message carried confidence and clarity, demonstrating control without aggression. Captain Hana studied the communication carefully. Sir, they are confident and deliberate. They do not fear us, and they do not provoke. This is discipline at its highest level. Jiho nodded. It is more than discipline. It is understanding. This crew has mastered their capabilities quietly, using speed, intelligence, and restraint. They have shown us that power does not always need to strike first. Fleet officers watched as the human vessel maintained distance, its path precise and controlled. It moved past important colonies, strategic stations, and heavily monitored sectors without incident. The Empire realized that this was a demonstration of strength, not aggression. The humans had arrived to show their abilities and the consequences of underestimating them. Every fleet, every commander, and every officer understood that humanity had quietly built expertise that surpassed expectation. Lieutenant Yuna isolated additional signals from the vessel, confirming the presence of human life signs. She studied the patterns, noting decision-making that was intelligent, strategic, and cautious. These humans were experienced in survival, aware of threats, yet unwilling to provoke conflict unnecessarily. This was a species that had mastered patience and precision, demonstrating power without ever firing a weapon. Admiral Gio addressed his team. We have learned something crucial. This is not a warship in the traditional sense. It is a moving example of capability, a reminder that skill and intelligence can surpass fleets and technology. Observe, learn, and respect. Do not provoke, but be prepared. Captain Hana coordinated fleet maneuvers to maintain safe distance while keeping the vessel under observation. Every fleet movement was calculated and careful, showing respect for a force they did not fully understand. The unknown vessel moved like a teacher demonstrating principles quietly, without alarm or threat. It passed through sectors that would have been considered traps for any other ship. Yet it navigated perfectly, leaving no disturbance behind. Across the Empire, citizens continued to witness streaks of light in the skies. Traders and colonists whispered stories of a ghost ship moving through space. Scholars speculated on the ship's origin, technology, and purpose. The unknown vessel had inspired fear, awe, and curiosity. No one dared claim knowledge or control over it. The Empire realized that power and authority could be challenged without aggression. Simply by demonstrating mastery, Captain Hana and Lieutenant Yuna prepared detailed reports for Admiral Gio, including every observation of the vessel's movement, energy emissions, and communication patterns. The reports emphasized the crew's discipline, intelligence, and restraint. Jiho reviewed them with deep understanding. Humans, thought weak and long gone, had returned to demonstrate mastery in a way the Empire had never anticipated. Fleet officers trained their crews to respond carefully and intelligently. Scientists recalibrated sensors to detect subtle energy signatures and analyze decision patterns. Diplomats prepared strategies for peaceful engagement, anticipating future contact with the humans. The Empire adapted, learning that observation, patience, and understanding could be more important than weapons and numbers. As the unknown vessel moved deeper into Imperial space, it continued to demonstrate skill and restraint. It avoided conflict, maintained speed, and stayed in control. Every observer understood that humans had mastered a combination of technology, strategy, and discipline that made them formidable even without firing a weapon. The Empire realized that confrontation was not the measure of strength. Understanding and control were. Lieutenant Yuna whispered to Captain Hana, "This is more than a ship. It is a demonstration of what humans are capable of. They have survived, adapted, and mastered their environment in ways we never considered." Hana nodded. "And now we understand that power does not always need to be visible. Strength can be subtle, intelligent, and deliberate. Humans have taught us that lesson. Admiral Jiho reflected on the events. The human vessel has moved through our space without attacking, yet it has changed everything. We have seen that true mastery does not demand violence. Observation, intelligence, and discipline can surpass fleets and technology. Remember this, respect this, and prepare for any eventuality. The unknown vessel eventually passed beyond immediate observation range, moving farther into space without a trace. The Empire had not been attacked, yet it was forever changed. Officers, fleet commanders, and scientists had witnessed human capability at its highest level. The presence of the ship had demonstrated restraint, intelligence, and mastery. Humanity, quiet and underestimated, had shown its power without firing a single shot dot. As the cycle ended, the Empire reflected on the lesson learned. Speed, intelligence, and discipline had challenged even the most advanced fleets and technology. The humans had arrived to demonstrate their capabilities, not with aggression, but with precision and understanding. Admiral Jiho, Captain Hana, and Lieutenant Yuna knew that the galaxy would never view humanity the same way again. The unknown vessel had passed, but the message remained. Humans could not be underestimated, ignored, or dismissed. The Empire would carry this understanding forward, forever changed by a species that had mastered survival and skill in silence and secrecy. The unknown vessel moved farther into the galaxy, leaving Imperial space behind. No one had tried to stop it, yet every fleet, every commander, and every scientist had observed it with a mixture of awe and fear. Admiral Jiho, Captain Hana, and Lieutenant Yuna reviewed all the reports and data collected during the vessel's passage. Every detail had been logged, every movement studied, and every energy fragment analyzed. The Empire had learned much, but the full measure of the vessel's capabilities remained beyond comprehension. Even as it disappeared from sensor range, the impact of the vessel lingered. Officers whispered among themselves, recalling its speed, intelligence, and restraint. Citizens in the outer colonies continued to share stories of a silent ship moving through the skies without fear or threat. The unknown vessel had shown that humans, long dismissed as weak and irrelevant, had mastered the principles of survival, discipline, and strategy beyond the Empire's expectations. Lieutenant Yuna studied the final traces of energy left behind. The patterns were precise, minimal, and efficient. The ship had used its abilities without waste, demonstrating both power and control. It was not aggression that had made the humans formidable. It was their understanding of space, technology, and risk. Yuna realized that the humans had perfected a combination of intelligence, skill, and patience that surpassed fleets and weapons. Captain Hana coordinated a final report for Admiral Jiho. She detailed every observation, the ship's movement, the calculated avoidance of fleets, the subtle testing of Imperial readiness, and the calm communication with the Empire. She concluded that the humans had returned not to conquer, but to demonstrate mastery. The lesson was clear. The Empire could no longer rely solely on numbers and firepower. Strategy, intelligence, and patience could surpass even the most advanced fleets. Admiral Jiho addressed his officers. This is a moment that will shape the Empire's future. We have faced no attack, yet we have learned more than we could from centuries of war. Humans have taught us that strength is not always visible, that mastery can be quiet, and that discipline can surpass technology. Our fleets, our strategies, and our understanding of the galaxy must change. Fleet commanders trained their crews to respond intelligently and carefully. Scientists recalibrated sensors to detect subtle energy signatures and adaptive decision patterns. Diplomats prepared strategies for potential future contact with humans, anticipating a species that could operate independently, silently, and effectively. Every part of the empire adapted to the reality that humans were no longer weak or irrelevant. They were a power to be respected. Min Siak, the young analyst who had first suspected human involvement, reflected on the events. He thought of the old records, the stories of human resilience and survival. Now, seeing these traits demonstrated in the unknown vessel, he understood how humans had quietly perfected their abilities while the galaxy ignored them. It was a lesson in humility, skill, and patience. The unknown ship continued its journey, moving through the stars with precision and calm. It left no damage, no conflict, only the demonstration of what humans could achieve. The Empire had witnessed intelligence, speed, and discipline beyond their own fleets. It was a reminder that the universe was larger, more complex, and more unpredictable than even the most powerful empires could imagine. Admiral Jiho issued final orders to strengthen observation networks, record every anomaly, and prepare for future contact. The Empire had been tested without confrontation and had learned that survival and mastery could be quiet, deliberate, and effective. Humans had returned not to fight, but to demonstrate capabilities that were underestimated for centuries. Captain Hana and Lieutenant Yuna finalized reports for transmission to the Central Council. Every detail was included, emphasizing the lessons learned. Restraint, intelligence, precision, and discipline could surpass technology in numbers. A human vessel had not attacked, yet it had changed the Empire's understanding of power forever. The presence of humans, quiet and capable, had reminded the Empire that appearances could be deceiving and that true skill might be hidden. As the unknown vessel disappeared beyond the edge of the Empire's sensors, the lessons remained. The humans had not fired a shot, but their demonstration was enough. The Empire understood that they could not be ignored. Respect, observation, and preparation were now paramount. The galaxy had witnessed human capability, and the Empire had adapted to the knowledge that speed, intelligence, and discipline could surpass fleets and weapons. Lieutenant Yuna whispered to Captain Hana, "We have seen history. Humans, thought, weak, have returned to teach us the meaning of skill and control." Hana nodded. "And we have learned that strength is not only in numbers or firepower. Mastery can be quiet, patient, and deliberate. Humans have shown us that lesson, and we must carry it forward." Admiral Jiho looked out at the stars, knowing that the Empire had been changed forever. The humans had passed through, demonstrating mastery without aggression. They had shown that true power is not always seen, and that patience, intelligence, and skill could redefine the rules of the galaxy. The Empire would never forget this encounter, and humanity would always be considered a force that could not be dismissed, underestimated, or ignored. In the silence that followed, the Empire reflected on what it had witnessed. The humans had returned, not as conquerors, but as a reminder of the potential hidden within a species once considered weak. They had traveled fast, moved quietly, and taught the galaxy a lesson in discipline, intelligence, and strategy. The Empire would forever remember that true power could be quiet, deliberate, and unseen. And humanity had mastered it perfectly.